Welcome to an introductory video of the business for sale process, how to buy a business, and how to work with a business broker. I'm Pramod Patel with Just Elementary Commercial Business Brokers. Let's get started. What role does the business broker play in the transaction of a small business from a seller to a buyer? And what value does a business broker bring to the transaction? Let's start with the seller. When the broker meets with the seller, job number one of the broker is to create the proper expectations in the seller. So that's with three things. Number one, the price. Number two, the terms. And number three, the post-sale issues. So for example, is there going to be a seller note? Is there going to be any payoff of the employee bonuses or vacation time? Introductions to vendors, customers. All these are issues that need to be addressed, and they're unique to each business. So the business broker really needs to come in, get a good understanding of the business, and then give the seller the proper advice so that the terms being offered are going to attract the highest quality buyers in the quickest possible time frame. After the expectations of the seller have been taken care of and all the paperwork's been signed and the business is ready to go to market, the broker's role and value is in the second stage, which is then preparing the business for sale and then confidentially marketing it to attract the highest qualified, best buyers possible. This is definitely a source of value that brokers add to the process, because if you are a business owner, it's hard to advertise your own business confidentially. Also, once we've attracted buyers, we need to have good, well-prepared marketing material about the business ready, so that the buyer has something to review that helps them understand what the business is all about, helps them understand what the strengths of the business are, what the weaknesses are, so they can identify if they're able to tackle those weaknesses, and obviously contain a good financial review so that the buyers understand if the business is good enough for them financially to get into. And that leads us to stage number three, which is once we've been able to secure a highly qualified buyer, we begin the negotiation process. Here, this is a process really driven by the buyer and the seller, and then of course the buyer and seller's advisors, whether they be CPAs, attorneys, or any other professional advisors. There's a lot of parties involved, and as a business broker, you're pretty much in the middle of all that. So really it's playing traffic cop, peacemaker, to make sure everything goes smoothly and make sure that both parties get a deal that they can live with. So what is the business broker's advice for a buyer or buyers looking for businesses? Let's focus on probably the most important thing when you begin your searching process, and that is narrow down what you are looking for. So don't look at gas stations and then manufacturing businesses and then liquor stores, grocery stores, parking lot sweeping businesses, distributors, because if you're all over that map, you're going to have a very frustrating process in search. More importantly to that is, if you're not qualified to run a manufacturing business, you're not going to be able to get a loan for that business, and the landlord's likely not going to approve a lease assignment to you. So know where your background, your skill sets lie, and look at businesses that fit what you are good at. That's where you're going to find the most success. So when it comes to what we see from the business broker's perspective of common buyer mistakes, it really goes back to not having a focused and narrow search. Searching for businesses is really a lot harder than searching for homes, in that it is basically a self-driven process. You have to go online and search and sort through hundreds and hundreds of ads, and if you inquire on too many, you're never going to be able to really focus on one, and you'll find the few that you get through to are going to be dead ends that you can't get anywhere with. I've talked to many buyers who've been looking for businesses for months, if not years, and really it's because they're looking at too many different things. So again, the key is narrow your search, focus your search so that you're looking at things that you can qualify for, a landlord will approve you for, you can get third-party financing for, and most importantly, a business you will succeed with and grow to increase profitability. From the business broker's perspective, what are the keys to due diligence for buyers to be aware of? Really, it boils down to one important thing. You need to have the right advisors around you. And you need to make sure you don't get caught up in trivial, minutia, less important items, and then essentially you're missing the forest for the trees. Here's a good example. Let's say you're looking at a business that's making $200,000 in profit, and for some reason there's a $1,200 ad back. And you and the seller don't agree on this ad back, and you spend 2 or 3 days going back and forth over it. Well, a $1,200 ad back on a $200,000 profit is basically about 0.5%. It's really almost irrelevant. It's unimportant. You need to really avoid this issue so that you can go back and focus on the big picture items. In this market, what are the biggest challenges for buyers? Well, I mean, as you can imagine, in this market, more and more businesses are struggling than they were in 2006 and 2007. And so what you have to do is spend a lot more time sifting through businesses that aren't really making what you want them to be making, what they say they're making. And so this is important. If you find a business isn't making what you need it to make, and you don't think there's a way you can quickly get it to that profitability level you're looking for, cut your time short and look at other businesses. There's so many things out there that you don't need to waste your time on businesses that are really not going to be a fit for you at the end of the day. So what are the biggest challenges facing business brokers in this market today? Essentially, it's a similar challenge that the buyers are facing, in that we have to meet with a lot of business owners, and those that are in too much distress and too much trouble that we cannot help and turn around is really not getting involved with your time in those businesses. With the businesses that we're actually working on with as listings, the challenges are the same: skeptical buyers, market uncertainty, and so again, it really comes down to being picky and choosing with the clients you work with, so that you're working with good clients that you can happily sell to your buyers, versus, you know, businesses that you would want to try to sell just for the money and then putting your buyers in peril. Now, that's definitely a bad way to do business. And so again, it really comes down to choosing good clients, good businesses, so that you have good transactions that really are win-win for the buyer and